So you know what that means. Yeah, Wine Wednesday. Join your host, James McGee, for a glass of wine and discussion about current events. No matter what's going on in the world, it's easier to swallow mixed with some wine.
Welcome back to the James McGee Show. I'm your host. I am James McGee. It is Wednesday, so you know what that means. It is Wine Wednesday. So first off, what am I drinking? I am once again drinking Tuica brandy. I really like it. I just had dinner. Nothing better than brandy for an after dinner drink. And as always, drinking out of my engraved in USA wine glass, courtesy of our good friend Rich Crumman. So cheers to all of you drinking a little wine tonight. Man, we have a lot to talk about. Brandy burns a little bit, but man, we have a lot to talk about. Since last Wednesday, so much has happened. Kamala gave her speech. I won't talk much about that because she didn't really say anything. She said what was on the teleprompter, and I did a TikTok this week on what I feel about speeches. Speeches are nothing. I've written speeches. I've given speeches. There's usually at that level for sure. There's somebody else's words. It's not legitimate in my book. And we'll talk about the interview that she finally agreed to in a minute. But the big news of the week is RFK Jr. Man, what a checkmate that the Republicans pulled. Because coming after a convention, you have this momentum. Well, they just took the momentum and checkmated the fuck out of them. So now we have RFK gave some really good points. If you haven't heard him talk about chronic disease, he's right, and there's so much that he really can offer. And then Tulsi Gabbard endorses Donald Trump, and what just a remarkable person. And both of them, what their similarities are, more than anything else, is the way the Democrat Party has just attacked them. Democrat Party, that's why I said they're communist. That is a communist party. Nobody picked Kamala. Nobody chose Kamala as the candidate except the Democratic establishment. You had RFKJ. You had Tulsi Gabbard. They tried to destroy their lives. Tulsi Gabbard was targeted by the Clintons, accused of being a Russian asset. She's recently put on a terror watch list. And this woman was a lieutenant colonel in the Hawaii National Guard. And because she criticizes Kamala Harris, she gets put on a terror watch list. What a disgrace, and what a show of just communism. So my biggest gripes this week when it comes to them is, that's one of the main ones, is they just do whatever they want. They go after people, they target people, they try to destroy people. Then Monday was 3 years that the 13 soldiers were killed in Afghanistan as a result of the withdrawal. Donald Trump goes to the memorial. Joe Biden or Kamala Harris is nowhere to be found. How despicable is that? Kamala Harris continuously proves. So Kamala Harris continuously shows who she is, and we just as a society just don't believe her. She keeps showing us who we are. We just don't believe her as a whole. We don't believe her, how terrible of a person she is. I get really fired up talking about George Floyd. And I've done a whole podcast on George Floyd and broke everything down on what has come out. I'll give something quick. When all this came out first 4 years ago, as conservative I am, as pro-police I condemned it. But there was so much, we found out now that there was so much held from us. George Floyd was not killed by police. George Floyd died of a drug overdose. Tim Walz is the governor. He could have stepped in. Now that's a total debacle the way he handled the riots. But he could have stepped in. Uh, he could have pardoned these policemen. He won't say they have yet to condemn it. They won't even acknowledge this. This all came out, won't even acknowledge it. So Kamala speaks last year at Tyree Nichols' funeral. Tyree Nichols was killed by Memphis police. Those cops deserve to be in prison. She speaks at the funeral and she brings George Floyd's family with her. This man is not immortal. George Floyd was a horrible, horrible human being. But that's what she does. Her base, that's all that she does is she is going to, it's so obvious, it's so blatant what she does. She is going to appeal to her base or what her agenda is or what her personal philosophies are. Well, that's your personal philosophies when you're a leader of the country. That's not what that's about, but that's all she does. But she could take a knee. She took a knee for over 8 minutes to honor George Floyd when he died. But she couldn't go to this memorial for these service men and women that died in the line of duty. That was a direct result of decisions that her and Joe Biden made. So I can't understand anyone thinking this woman is fit to be the president of the United States. Besides, she is a terrible person. She is a horrible, horrible example of leadership. She has shown no leadership. So then we learned this week that she is going to finally do an interview. But she chose ABC, and the stipulation is she has to bring Tim Walz with her. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are both doing numerous interviews a day, every day, separate. Why does she need Tim Walz? How can anyone say that she is not a puppet? They're just pulling her strings. So they had to bring Tim Walz so he could rescue her. So if she cannot sit down with a softball interview, and that's what this is going to be, is a softball interview. If she can't sit down with a softball interview without her security blanket, who, if I had to get a security blanket, it sure wouldn't be that circus clown. But she can't do this without her security blanket. That's unbelievable. We have got to wake up. I don't care what anyone feels about Donald Trump. This woman, this person, this man, Tim Walz, these people cannot be in charge of this country. There's no way, no scenario that says that is okay. Donald Trump obviously has his faults. I'm not a fan of a lot of things that he does and says. And next week, I am going to cover what I feel his strategy going forward should be. I was going to do it this week, but I needed to get this out. I needed to get out the things that I feel because of what has happened with RFK and what happened with Tulsi Gabbard. I wanted to get that out. And with this interview coming up, she's still going to be terrible in the interview. There's no doubt that she's still going to be absolutely horrendous in this interview, but it's not a true interview. It's not true what Donald Trump went on Sean Ryan's show. He went on Theo Von's podcast. He is doing everything and every platform. And he's sure not bringing some security blanket with him. He doesn't need that. The person who has the nuclear codes should not have to have a security blanket to do an interview. So I may see that interview tomorrow. I'm sure that most of you are too. I will definitely have something to say about it tomorrow on TikTok or probably a video blog on YouTube. But until then, McGee is out.